Good evening, everybody. You're very rowdy tonight. You're a rowdy crowd. I think that's relative to how crappy things seem in the world. It's so good to see so many of you here to celebrate with us NIF's vision of an Israel that lives up to its founding values of prophetic justice, democracy, and equality. It is especially good and a real honor to be here tonight with two of New Israel Fund's founders, Al Baum, right there, and Jonathan Cohen. On behalf of the entire NIF community around the world, Al and Jonathan, let me thank you both for what you did in 1979 with your partners to launch this global community dedicated to Israel and to social justice. And let me extend a special welcome and a thanks to the future of this organization, the new generation community, which is here in force. If NIF provides hope for so many people in Israel and around the world, you, the new gen, provide hope for all of us at NIF. And you are not alone, because tonight we will celebrate 4 other reasons for hope. From Israel, we're joined by activist Mutassim Ali and our own beloved Israel Executive Director, Rachel Liel, my work spouse. And from right here in the U.S., we're joined by former board member, U.S. Ambassador Martin Indyk, and New Generation's own Orly Rabin. Martin, don't you love a crowd where a 30-something gets bigger applause than the U.S. ambassador to Israel? That's not bad, right? You always want to follow. All right. These 4 people are bright and shining lights who remind us why it is that we come together here to stand or sit shoulder to shoulder to work for the Israel that we believe in. A few months ago, I spoke at a Shabbat service here in the Bay Area at a synagogue. Before I spoke, the rabbi asked the congregation to list their concerns about Israel. Their answers were ones that sadly I've gotten used to hearing. They said things like, Israel is becoming more and more hardline, ultra-religious and xenophobic. I worry that Israelis and American Jews are drifting further apart. I worry that Israel is changing into a place that I don't recognize anymore. But for the first time in my 7 years as your CEO, it occurred to me that many of the worries that these congregants had about Israel could be applied to our situation here at home. Because we too worry tonight in mid-September that our country may be moving in a direction that we don't agree with and changing into a place that we no longer recognize. And while this is very scary, it is also a powerful reminder that when our liberal and our democratic and indeed our Jewish values are threatened, when politicians in either of our countries present policies that are anathema to the very values upon which these countries were founded, that it is not time to give up or to drop out or to walk away. It is not time to lower our voices. Rather, for us, for the NIF community, a community of conscience, it is time to roll up our sleeves and to get to work. It's time to stand up and to speak out on behalf of the Israel that we want to see. At that shul, one of the congregants asked me, what happened to the beautiful Israel? She was referring to an almost mythical ideal of Israel, Yisrael HaYafa, that many of us once shared, an ideal that sometimes seems further and further away from the reality on the ground. But my friends, the beautiful Israel is alive and well. It blossoms in the places where Israelis from all backgrounds work to build a better, fairer, more open society. It exists where regular Israelis push back against the messages and policies and actions coming from too many in power in Israel today. And the New Israel Fund is the engine that supports those who work every day for this beautiful Israel and this vision of the Israel that could be. The Beautiful Israel is the New Israel Fund grantee organizations working for coexistence and for truly shared society for all Israelis. Organizations like Sikui and the Abraham Fund initiatives that, in the face of the Prime Minister's election eve statement that Arab citizens of Israel were being bussed to the polls to vote in droves, these organizations worked to secure bilingual signage on all Israeli public transportation vehicles, and they succeeded. And this success may seem like a small thing, but it sends a big message of inclusion and belonging to the 22% of the population of the state of Israel who are Arabs and who were targeted by the Prime Minister's remarks. And the beautiful Israel is our newest NIF grantee, Zazim, which means we are moving in Hebrew, the first Israeli affiliate of the international MoveOn.org network, which we incubated and launched just last year. And in the face of a decision by the Education Ministry, which is run by Naftali Bennett, the head of the Jewish Home Party, a guy who just last week said that it was more important for Israeli students to learn Torah than science or math, in the face of a decision by that ministry to ban a novel from school curriculum that was about an Arab and Jewish romance, and to revise civics textbooks to excise the Arab-Israeli narrative from those textbooks, Zazim launched a campaign initiated by 2 high school students, one Jewish, one Arab-Israeli, that protested these moves, and thousands of Israelis signed on. And while they didn't succeed in changing the minister's mind, this was their first campaign. Zazim is just getting started. And the beautiful Israel are the 25,000 Israelis, including dozens of members of Knesset and many from the Orthodox communities of Israel, who marched this year in Jerusalem's Gay Pride Parade, just in July. And this after an influential settler rabbi, a leader of one of the major movements in Israel right now, called gays and lesbians perverts, and 300 other rabbis signed on to a letter supporting him. 25,000 Israelis showed up to show them just how they felt about this. This was 1 year after a teenage girl was murdered by an ultra-religious man at this same Pride March in Jerusalem last year. So this year I get a call from one of my cousins in Israel who told me, quote, "Danny, you'd be so proud. There are so many people here that we can't even get to the actual parade." So the next time the news from Israel, or for that matter, from our own country, gets you down, the next time you feel like giving up and walking away, remember this. The beautiful Israel is still there and it needs you. The tens of thousands of Israelis like Rachel, like Mutasim, who are working every day to realize this beautiful vision are asking us, the NIF community, for our partnership, for our support, and for our commitment. And the ideas that they stand for, human rights, pluralism, religious freedom, social justice, shared society, these ideas are being challenged as never before in Israel. But these activists, these Israelis, are working to secure a future for their country, for our beloved Israel, as a homeland for the Jewish people, and an open, equal, free democracy for all of its citizens. And they need our help. They are asking us not to be silent. They are asking us to speak out and to stand up with them. And I ask each of us here to answer their call by saying loud and clear, Hineni, here I am. Thank you all so much for everything you do every day to build a better Israel.